Appears to be what they call a commercial play. Very solid. That is a green in regulation as the approach shot hits the first green. But he is by no means in for par yet. A lengthy putt coming up. So they'll tap in. That was not a very good read right there. Really not much to this. The only issue would be a lack of concentration or focus. Boy, that was a good-looking putt, just not falling right now.
Sadly, he's going to be disappointed.
He's putting for bogey now. +1 in the early going. Frank, as we look at the second, your average hole with, say, a few bunkers, maybe even a pond, that would be a walk in the park compared to what I'm seeing right here.
Yeah, early surveillance said that guard shack just to the right of the green is actually not empty, so be a little aware of that when you cross the bridge. Green just 167 yards away, though, from the tee.
Here we go. You can't hide the flagstick from that man.
He is just unbelievable, that never deviated offline.
Rough start with that bogey on number 1, but right back at it with a birdie to even up the card.
A little bit of guesstimation required here. Well, radio in the yardage, 216 yards to the middle of the green, and you've got to carry the destroyer. So this has to come down from quite a bit of height. Wind a little off the left.
Needless to say, tough defense setup around this green.
Well protected.
Frank, this golf course is surrounded by water, just a few tiny islands strung together to create these 18 super cool looking par 3s.
Yes, Rich, and with all that water comes a lot of lost balls. When this base was still active, many of the soldiers would play the course in the tee box. They'd just get backed up really quickly. It was so bad that they created a local rule for balls in the water. So if you hit your ball in the water, you do what they've always done. You just drop one up next to the green and you take a stroke penalty. Pretty good rule.
Just wants to hit about an inch behind the ball. That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
He'll need to be strong with this. And he's made the green. Locked in on the read and the speed. Just a shade over par, +1. On to the next hole. This one is a long shot. Needs the heavy artillery on this.
We've got to go over the solar panels and the radio tower. It's the longest par 3 so far on the golf course. Beach between the radar tower and the green. Trees adorn this as well. You're a little too long, you'll be surfing.
That's well played. Places it about 10 feet out for birdie. Not a gimme, but well within his range. Back to par for the round. Frank, you and I have called golf from around the world. Places like, well, the hot air balloon in the Grand Canyon comes to mind. This has been a rather unusual spot as well.
It is. I thought we'd be safe up here in the observation tower, Rich, but I don't know, with that boat coming in, or should I say the destroyer, I don't exactly feel safe right now. But we'll batten down the hatches as we watch the tee shot at the 5th.
This one has a chance to be close. That will be a great look at birdie. Frank, this would be a nice way to jumpstart the round.
Yeah, his momentum can quickly go in the right direction if he makes this.
I thought that was in.
Yeah, it looked good. I mean, line, pace, it's hard to be critical of that.
Just a couple of feet. Routine stuff for Rory, that's a par. Up to the 6th tee, Frank, and we're back against that destroyer. You need to take it over that small island.
Yeah, this is a little village too, and remember the double greens at St. Andrews? Well, this is a split double green. It's shared in amongst the village. The green on the right, very, very small. So this a very lengthy par 3. It's going to be a case of really ready aim driver for some.
Seems to like it. Headed for the fat part of the green. Birdie try up next. Boy, this could be a tough one right here, Frank.
It's a very long putt, Rich. Obviously, it's difficult, but he still has a shot to sink this one for birdie.
Frank, that's not one you're necessarily thinking about making.
No, just a good putt, though. There's no two ways about that. He's putting well.
Did the job right there. Frank, I don't know if it's legal, but a player might want to get a detailed map from high overhead, maybe from a bomber squadron flying by, just to get an idea of what they're navigating on this hole.
Well, if you can't call one in, you can always go up one of those lookout towers and maybe get a good surveillance of the hole, or even the wind direction. It's not overly long, just under 160 yards. Green sets up nicely, though, directly aiming at the player at the tee.
That is an excellent play right there. The approach, giving him another good look. These putts keep the round together.
Just when you think you're going to make birdie, now have to really concentrate on this and at least make par.
Just needs to keep it steady here over the putt. Still even par for the day. Partner, look at that. Left here at the 8th hole. You and I could shoot a little hoop. You want to play a little donkey?
Yeah, it's very observant of you, Rich. Also, the barracks just up ahead that protect the left side of this green. So there's a lot of visual intimidation on this par 3. Follow the sandy trail, and there's green at the end. Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. Second shot coming out of the rough here. How good was that, Frank, from the rough?
Oh, that's amazing. That's a masterclass in short game. Even par currently.
Drops it, and he's at even par. Frank finishing up now the front side in what so far has been a pretty heroic mission.
There is a green down this end there, but you miss it on the right. There's the trenches, and of course, even further right, there's that seawall that provides a fortress for the beach on that right side. But the green, fortunately, inland and away from the trouble.
This is a good-looking shot.